Oh, how's all my accomplices today? Well, I have to set some stuff straight here because there's lots of rumors. Um, some outright lies, but people are people. Anyways, the subject of the youth center. About 3 months ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and it got around to why the youth center isn't there no more in front of the food bank. And I was told it was $3,000 for insurance, which they didn't have, and staffing they needed. Well, a week or so or 2 weeks later, I was having a conversation with a couple of associates of mine, and they like to finance things. Good things. So they said to me, well, Dan, listen, man, we'll give you the $3,000, right? But because they're businessmen and they're not stupid, they said, what we want out of you first is we need you to go around town and see what kind of support or donations you can get up. And once we've done that a bit, then we'll see how it goes, because they don't want to invest in somebody that ain't going to help them, right? Or is trying to help people. Now, originally, because I figured I'd probably have a problem with some of the people at the food bank, and that's rightly so, whatever, right? People are people. So my original thought was to have somebody that to front for me, to talk to the people at the food bank and all that, and nobody'd know I was even involved in it at all till the papers were signed and the ink was dry. But I started to think about that. Well, that seems a little underhanded and sneaky. So I was walking downtown one day and I seen Bob, who I believe was the head guy at the food bank. I guess apparently not, but that's I didn't know. I seen him fixing a vacuum cleaner in the parking lot. I thought, let's just grab this bull by the horns and I'll go talk to Bob. So I went and talked to Bob and asked him why the youth center was shut down, and told me it was COVID and they didn't have the money for insurance and all this stuff. And I said, well, Bob, I'd be more than willing to do that and staff it. And he didn't seem to disagree at all. We shook hands when I left. So, I mean, to me, that's, if you had a problem with it, you should just say so there. Anyways, besides the point. Now, one thing I've been guilty of my life for sure is I jumped the gun, right? But I spent a good month just walking around this town and talking to business owners and talking to people and finding out what they think this town really needs. And a lot of people told me something for the kids to do. So that's why I started. Now, unfortunately, I took a picture of the food bank. Now, nowhere in that GoFundMe thing does it say anything about the food bank. There's it doesn't say food bank in the front of the building. Well, everybody all freaked out. Okay, my mistake. So I changed the picture. Now, for people to go out there and say this is a scam, you better cool your jets on that one, right? That's pretty slanderous talk, right? Now, I was told that they had some concerns. Did I get the right criminal record check? Well, people, I'm going to tell you how it works. Okay? This is the criminal record check right here. Okay? When you go in to get a criminal record check, they ask what you're doing. I said, well, I'm going to be working with the youth. In other words, vulnerable people. That includes seniors, disability people, stuff like that. Okay? What box do you think they check? Okay? Now, I'll get into this thing here. Hold on. Bear with me, people. Okay. The box that says a vulnerable sector check was verified by fingerprints and name could not be associated to any records that may be disclosed in accordance with the federal laws. Okay? Outstanding charges, negative. Other court findings, negative. Adverse contact, negative. Okay? So that should settle some concerns there. The next concern I heard was, about pot. Well, listen, people, it's just as legal as alcohol is nowadays. Right? Now, I smoke a lot of weed, and I'll be the first goddamn guy to admit it. But the first thought in my head after I decided we're going to do something about this was, geez, I think my weed consumption is going to go down, because I'm sure as fuck ain't going to be smoking dope around kids. Okay? Now, if the food bank, they phone me, and people, they can say I'm lying, I don't give a shit. But I'll tell you this one thing for sure. There's only one fucking person I have to answer at the end of the day, and that's the face in the mirror. My conversation on the phone was Bob. Well, what the problem was, we're not going to hand the reins over to someone like you. Now, the reason I thought this teen youth thing would be a good idea is because I know all these kids. If they've lived in this town all their life, I've known them all since elementary school. Right? So I thought it'd be a good thing. I've talked to a lot of kids here because there's kids that are friends with my granddaughter, and they've been to my house. And I've listened to them. So that's why we thought it would be a good idea. So I hope I've addressed your concerns there, people. Right? And if you have any other questions, I ain't hard to find. I'm always walking around town. Walk up and talk to me instead of going like this. Right? So anyways, you guys all be safe. And remember, keep your gratitude higher than your expectations. And a cat.